Okay, thank you. And yes, I'm happy to take on from here onwards. Yes, my name is Elke Führer. I work for Jugend für Europa, which is the German national agency for Erasmus Plus Youth. European Solidarity Corps in Erasmus Plus Sports, and I coordinate the snack growing youth work, as Snezhana just said. And now I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of this webinar. So it's a joint offer from, on the one hand, the Maltese hosts of the upcoming convention, together with the Youth Partnership between the European Commission and the Council of Europe in the field of youth, who are together hosting the convention. And we partnered up as a snack growing youth work for this specific webinar. It's connected to one of our main formats. It's a webinar series called Youth Work Talks, and that's also why we felt we would like to support this occasion very much. And a little bit of background about the snack growing youth work is that we are a strategic national agency cooperation. We partnered up with 16 national agencies and Salto youth resource centers after the third European Youth Work Convention, which took place in 2020 online, hosted by Germany. And we reach out, we target 48 countries. So those countries who were involved in the last convention, we try to support them with our activities. And the main thing that we try to do is to support a lively community process that strengthens and develops youth work across Europe. And we refer very much to the European Youth Work Agenda. The European Youth Work Agenda was, like the main outcome of the third European Youth Work Convention 5 years ago. And it's a strategic framework for developing and strengthening youth work all over Europe. And what we try to do as a cooperation project of national agencies is to keep the fire alive, also in between the conventions, to really support the community to put the European Youth Work Agenda into action and transform it into something that makes a difference in practice, in the reality of those people with different profiles involved in youth work. And that's very important for us. And we do that by offering several offers. One of the things that we started last year is the event series Youth Work Talks, where we offer a space for professional debate around the hot issues of youth work. And another thing that we also do is to support the national processes. Since 2020, in the different member states all over Europe, there have been more than 30 national processes been established that are supported and coordinated by national contact points to really put the European Youth Work Agenda into action and develop youth work further. And of course, as a network of national agencies, it's very important for us to promote the opportunities of the EU youth programs, because they can be used as main funding instruments from the European level to implement ideas, to implement actions, projects that are there around Europe, where you all are involved in making youth work better, developing new concepts, meeting up with people, and developing youth work further. So that's why sorry, that's why we are very happy to support this whole process in between the conventions. And if you like what will happen during this webinar today, we will for sure offer more opportunities like webinars, and we will be happy to see you and welcome you also in the future around our services. So without taking this further, I would like to hand over to Laszlo Milutinovic from the Youth Partnership now, and I wish you wish all of us a very good webinar. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I also wonder, can Domagoj move the slides for me? Because we are, okay, good, great, thank you very much. So warm welcome everybody on behalf of the EU Council of Europe Youth Partnership, or the partnership between the Council of Europe and the European Commission in the field of youth, as Snezana correctly pointed the correct name out. My name is László Milutinovic, and I'm responsible for supporting the preparations of the fourth European Youth Convention in our team. I'm sure that many of you have heard about the Youth Partnership, but maybe just to explain in a few words what we are doing for those who haven't heard about us, that the partnership is, as the name says, is a cooperation between the Council of Europe and the European Commission in the field of youth. And we are a small team of colleagues working partly in Brussels and partly based in Strasbourg on youth policy development, on youth research, and also on youth work development. And we have a role currently, and also in the previous conventions, we had a role to support the implementation. I will tell maybe a few more things about that in the upcoming slides. But now I also want to, first of all, go through the objectives of the webinar so that you have an understanding what we are going to do in the upcoming more or less 2 hours. So our intention was with organizing this webinar to give a chance for you to start preparations for the convention, to understand the context and the history of the Youth Work Conventions better, to get an overview of this particular convention, what's the context, where are we now in youth work development, what are the core issues that we are going to discuss. And also, I think it's important that in these 2 hours, we will try to find some time for you to link the European processes with your national reality, to see what change you can bring in the follow-up of the convention in your national realities. Then, of course, it's very important that we brought you together to get to know each other, at least as a first step. Of course, it will be a lot more different when we meet in person in beautiful Malta, but it's also nice to start with with connecting with some colleagues online now. And in general, I think the intention is that you feel more confident about your knowledge, about knowing the context and so on before coming to Malta. And I really hope that this webinar will help you in that. Maybe the next slide. And also to introduce you the program shortly, after this short introduction and also the presentation of myself and Elke, we will go into the context and the history of the conventions a bit. Also, our colleagues from Malta, Miriam and Marvik, they will give you a bit of an insight into the program, what kind of workshops will be available during the convention. And then we will also have some interactive elements in the program. There will be a short Mentimeter coming very soon to make it a bit more busy for you. And then also there will be some small group discussions, and that's where you will have the chance to discuss a bit about your national realities in youth work. There will be also a bit of an open stage for asking questions, if there are any. And also, it's, I think, important to know, and probably some of you have been already informed about that the organizers also prepared a booklet for the preparing or helping the preparation of the delegates, of the participants. And we will present shortly this booklet, what you can find in there. So if you are ready to give it a read, now you will have an understanding of what's in there, if it's interesting for you, and how it helps you to prepare for the convention. And after that, we will have a closing, and then, I hope we will fit into these 2 hours, but I'm sure that Sneža will make sure that we fit into the 2 hours. Also, maybe it's good before we give the word to the organizers and the hosts, actually, to have a look at the history of the conventions very shortly. As probably many of you know, if you are active in the youth field, but maybe some of you are new, the European Youth Work Conventions are held in every 5 years since 2010. And since then, they really became the most important major gatherings of the youth work community of practice and practitioners in the broader sense of it. So not only youth work practitioners, but also others who are somehow working on the development of the youth field, decision makers, researchers, educators, and so on. And as such, it somehow became also on the political level a driving force for innovation, collaboration, and policy development in the field of youth work. Also, if you have a look at the booklet that I just referred to, I think there you will find more information on the exact steps of these conventions, what happened actually in each convention. What is important to know that each of these conventions somehow contributed to the development of policies in Europe. There are also new initiatives in research and practical user development came up usually following each convention. Also groundbreaking new documents and policy guidance actually somehow came after following some of these conventions by the Council of Europe and also the European Union. And of course, I mean, maybe the most relevant now, and maybe it will be mentioned more in details later, the most important outcome of the previous convention, or the third convention, that was an online event organized by the German colleagues. It was the convention that led to the adoption of the European Youth Work Agenda, which since then is the most important guiding document on the European level for youth work development. And I think we will be also working, building a lot on the European Youth Work Agenda and its aims and objectives now when we are gathering again for the fourth European Youth Work Convention. So yeah, I think that also, yeah, in the meantime, Domagoj moved to the next slide, but I hope it was fine enough to recall this historical aspect of the previous convention, the three first conventions. Maybe it's also important for you to understand a bit how these large-scale events are prepared. Of course, it's not only the partnership and the Maltese colleagues that are preparing such a big event. The Youth Partnership has been also mandated by the two institutions, the Commission and the Council of Europe, to set up a steering committee or a steering group that is behind the organization of this huge event. So we started to work with this steering group more than a year ago, and we had several in-person and online meetings throughout last year, and also in January we had a enlarged steering group meeting involving some of the facilitators, rapporteurs, and other stakeholders in Malta, where we also had the chance to discover the venue and so on. So this steering group has been the main platform in preparing the convention. There was a continuous exchange, which also gave us chance not only to take into consideration the comments and feedback of the two institutions, but also a lot of other stakeholders, national agencies, also members of the community of practice, some representatives of trainers organizations and youth work organizations. And actually, the steering group was the one that defined the overall form, aims, and objectives of the convention throughout this preparatory process. I think at this point, probably this is enough information. If there are questions about that, I will be still around, and of course we can answer. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this 2 hours, to this discussion. I hope it will be useful for all of you. And even more, of course, I'm looking forward to meet you then in Malta in a few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we can see the faces also, because we welcome you with the slides and the tiny few faces in the site. And now we can see, well, at least all of you, most of you. And welcome officially from my side as well, Elke and myself, and then we have Laszlo and other hosts of the convention are not alone. We also have other team members, which I think are important to introduce because we will be referring to them, so you know who they are. So we have Domagoj Moric, who is our digital facilitator, who is trying to do everything else basically. We have Nick, who will be writing an article after this. He's waving, so hopefully some of you are seeing him after this event. And we also have Rilke, who is also part of the SNAC and help us prepare. And I'm purposefully keeping the name of the Maltese colleagues a secret because they will be also introduced very soon, so I can keep the suspense. But now it's also the time to hear at least a little bit from you in this main room. And of course, for that, we have a Mentimeter, which I will paste here in the chat. 2 very simple questions, but at least that we have a bit of an overview of who we have today with us and who we will hopefully have also in Malta in a moment. So here we go. You see the code here that you can also, of course, scan, but I shared it in the chat as well. So if you can join, that would be lovely. And once you join, if you press on little cat in the corner, then we know that you are with us. Very good. The number is growing. 45 cats at the moment, 47, 48. Just wait for a tiny second. And maybe while we are waiting for the second, just to know if you accidentally unmute, we keep muting you because we are actually many people today, so we don't disturb each other. So when the time comes to speak, we will really ask you to raise your hand or write it in the chat, and we will give you the word. So we are not being one-sided here, but just more for the overall dynamics. All right. So these are the instructions, but that you already know because you join. So the first slide, no surprise, is asking actually, have you ever been to a European Youth Work Convention? And you can have multiple choices. So those of you who've been to maybe not all of them, but one or two can also press on, for example, the convention 2010, 2015, 2020, and you will hear a bit about each of them in a moment. But for now, you at least know the dates. So most of the people here haven't been before, but they are fans and they're curious. Well, you didn't have a choice, but you'll be a fan if you're curious as well. But this is quite a majority, which is nice. We have 4 people that were at the first European Youth Work Convention, 5 that were the second, 23 that were on the third, that was online. And we have 1 person among us who participated in all of them. Maybe that person at some point can reveal who they are. I have my suspicions, but let's see. But that's quite exciting. But still, quite a few. And this bubble is also quite dynamic here for the first time. And maybe this is also what Laszlo said a bit in the intentions. This was one of the reasons why we also thought of organizing this webinar, seeing that it's arguably the biggest event in the international youth work field. Might be overwhelming for some. Maybe it's kind of create some expectations. So we wanted to offer this opportunity to break the ice a few weeks before we meet in Malta. And to understand that it's not such a scary thing, let's say, to participate in the convention. Very good. And then just one more slide to check what brings you here today and what you expect to gain. It's a word cloud, so it's not a big explanation, but just to have some first ideas of why did you decide to join? Curiosity, very good. Very good first word to start with. I think each of you should have up to 3, so you can also choose detailed information. Maybe I can also comment while we go. Some you will get indeed detailed, but even more detail you will get in the booklet that Laszlo mentioned already, which we will introduce. So you will see where you can find it. Background information, meeting new people, history of the convention, it's coming because of youth work. Very good. We are here because of youth work indeed. I'm seeing details and I'm getting a little bit scared because there is only as much details that we can offer in 2 hours, but we're definitely going to offer more than if you were just reading the emails or being on your own. But it's good that we also have background documents to support that. I will also comment on the practicalities. Actually, we will not go so much into the practicalities in terms of organization. About the content, yes. But for the other practicalities, such as the venue, for example, or logistics and so on, we still ask you to write to the email that was provided, which we can later drop in the chat. So let's see, the cloud is settling a bit, but we still have curiosity, information, youth work as the key ones, preparation, indeed. That's what we are here for. Insight, people knowledge, experience, details, and so on. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. And as I said, hopefully most of the things that we can respond to, and for some that we can't, we have also channels that you can check for that, which is probably good news as well. So I think I've been delaying it for long enough, but I have a great pleasure to introduce Miriam Toima from Agencia Zaza. I was really practicing that, Miriam. I don't know if it's visible, but I try, and I think all of us need to practice. She's a chief executive officer, but she's also a legend in the youth work field, if I can say. And Miriam will take us through the history of the convention. So how are we here? Why are we here? The intentions. And she will also later on tell us a little bit about the three pillars or the three topics that will be the core of the program. So many of your expectations from the World Cloud will be answered by Miriam. So Miriam, no pressure, but I'm sure you can cover all that. The mic is yours.
Well, you have put a lot of pressure. So good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. It's so nice to see you, and it's so nice to see a lot of new faces or faces who have never been to the conventions before. I wasn't the one who was a part of the Mentimeter, so I wasn't the one who had the one person who said that it attended all the conventions, but I happen to be one who have attended all the conventions, and this is why I'm here and I'm part of the prep team to organize the next convention. Before I start off with what would happen in Malta, Snezana was saying, let's talk a little bit about the history of the conventions or what has happened in the conventions. And this is in a way, in a nutshell, very shortly, what I'm going to try and explain. First of all, the Youth Work Convention is not really a training seminar. There are loads of training on youth work coming up from the two partnership institutions. So this convention really is not really a training convention, but a convention which really gets together youth workers. In a way, I always see it to lobby for the field. We still feel that youth work is not enough recognized. Youth work needs more lobbying at a European, regional, and national level. And therefore, this is why we hold the convention. So in a way, in the conventions, we try and be a little bit of the activists in us. And this is why these conventions have been really, have started. They've started 25 years ago in Belgium. At the time, we hardly knew, not new, but we had just started using the word youth work. We had just, nobody used youth work at a European level. It's a very Anglo-Saxon word, and not so many people used it at a European level. We had started to use it in the European documents, and this is why then we had come up with a youth work convention. The legend who had started off this, the legends who have started all this will be all with us in Malta as well. So this would be also an interesting meeting where Snezana told me that I was in a way introducing me as a legend. Well, I hope I will keep up to that. But there are other legends as well. And there were other legends in the past who are still with us. Some of them maybe not as active, and some of them have retired. And hopefully on the welcome evening, on the first day, which would be on Tuesday in the evening, where you are all going to come over to the agency, we've got a little bit of a surprise for you, where you would be able to meet some of the legends, ask them questions, and ask them more about the history of youth work and what has happened at a European level, because these people were all working at a European level. Throughout these years, quite a number of policy documents have come up at European level with regards to youth work. Both strategies, both the Council of Europe and the European Union have started mentioning youth work in their strategy. the Council of Europe has a particular pillar on youth work. The European Union has also very good mention of youth work in the last strategy, even though it's not a separate pillar. And in a way, I mean, throughout, after each convention, something came up, kind of the community of practice, which is you, I mean, and all the others. And just to put you a little bit in the picture, we will be around 500 people in this convention. So this is the biggest, in a way, convention face-to-face. Through the discussions, through the workshops that you would be participating, hopefully, new ideas would come up to, in a way, give a direction to the institutions in the next 5 years. And also, you take home with you ideas on how to further lobby at national level. So in a way, the name of the convention, or the theme of the convention, is Youth Work Accelerate. We have moved on, but we'd really like to accelerate it now. I mean, it really captures the ideas that we want to capture, the momentum, that we have in all these policy documents, but also the urgency of the importance of youth work, and on how much young people really benefit for youth work. So in a way, we would like to, after the convention, that we have really put an active push towards improving the standards, because we do have standards, we do have recognition, we do have quality, but it's never enough, and not in every country. Things are not the same in every country. So the idea is to really push this forward, and also call for new actions, for new initiatives, for new measures and new processes. And I will tell you why we are trying to have this call for action. In a way, to try and really steer a roadmap for the next upcoming 5 years. So this time, the ideas that we would like to want from you, I mean, whilst you take up the different workshops and you discuss between you, what we would like to see is more practical ideas of what can happen in member states, not only at European level, but what really can happen in member states. I think we have moved strides at European level. We have all the documents now, although I will also explain some documents would be updated in the coming 5 years. But at member state level, there are still lots that we can do. There are still lots where we can push our governments to commit further. So therefore, these are really the ideas that we would like to have from you. Let me have my next slide. So as I said, I mean, why are we going to try and come up with a roadmap after the convention? I mean, the idea, as I was saying, we have the EU strategy, but the EU strategy at the moment is being reviewed. And it would be revised and reviewed in the next 5 years. And as we have seen in the past, the outcomes of the conventions have always been taken to update these policy documents. So therefore, I mean, the outcomes of this convention would be used to update the next EU strategy. Just a little bit of a push here. We still don't have a pillar for youth work in our EU youth strategy. Is this what we want? Is this what we would want to see? Because if it is what we would want to see, then this would be something that we would have to recommend. And how? What do we want in it? What would we like in it? What do we expect? So these are the things that, I mean, for this preparatory seminar, they're important because there's a month now before the convention. So the more you think, the more you come prepared, and the better the recommendations would be. And besides that, there would also be a revision of the Council of Europe Youth Sector Strategy. And again, the Council of Europe Youth Sector Strategy has got a pillar in youth work, but what should we focus on? What should we have in this pillar? Should we maintain it? So in a way, again, these two things will happen before the next convention. So what we will discuss now, what we will come up with now, will really be put into this. I mean, the European Commission would be also organizing a special workshop on the youth strategy. But just to put you a little bit in the picture, it will not only be that workshop, but the whole convention, which will feed in the next EU youth strategy. Besides that, I mean, we are organizing the convention under the presidency of the Council of Europe. Malta will assume the of the Council of Europe in May until November 2025. And this time, throughout this presidency, we're going to have something very, very special. We're going to convene all the ministers responsible for youth in Malta in October. And this hasn't happened for the last 13 years. And throughout this conference, the ministers will adopt a final declaration and with a number of issues that they would commit to take up. And one of them is really, one thing to have in the declaration would be to commit to youth work. So again, this would be a push for the national level. You know, I mean, usually in the conventions, we have always put a push at European level. This time, it happened that just after the convention, we have a ministerial meeting. In a ministerial meeting, it's always the case that they adopt a declaration. This declaration, although not binding, because we know that all the work that is done with regards to youth issues is not statutory at European level. I mean, but these ministers are going to come to Malta, get together and commit. And therefore, the fact, if we manage to make them commit towards youth work on issues with regards to youth work, then we would have made a step, which is also a tool for lobbying. And throughout the European Youth Ministers Conference, we will also present the convention. We will also present the results of the convention. Therefore, what the ministers would commit to would, in a way, they would then say, okay, we're committing in youth work, but what is this? What do the community of practice wants us to commit? So in a way, the work of the convention will be looked at with that view in mind. Okay, next one. Next slide, please. So again, I mean, therefore, the main focus, what would it be? The recognition of youth work, the unique and vital contribution to young people development, their empowerment, their well-being, the support, and the strength, and the idea to support, strengthen, and enhance strategic policy programs, initiatives, services for young people. Why? Again, we have the new, we have already started working on the new Erasmus Plus funding mechanism. What would we want to see there? You know, so there are, in the next 5 years, a number of things would happen. our input, our commitment in this convention, and these outcomes will feed into that. So what would the program will be about? I mean, I'm not going to go in detail. As Nazana said, you have the preparation booklet, and you will also receive from the hosts. I haven't introduced her, but I think it's now time to introduce Marvik de Bono, who's also with us, and who in a way has been working together with her colleagues at the Erasmus Plus agency to get this together and get the program together and all the logistics together. And obviously you would receive more about the logistics, even through an app, which you would have throughout the convention to follow, and also through the website we have dedicated through the partnership on the convention. But what would we be talking about in the coming month? Obviously, we have some welcome and closing speeches. We have some distinguished guests. We have the head of the democracy from the Council of Europe. We will have the commissioner for youth and intergenerational fairness, who would be present at the convention. So this is also something which in a way would give strength to the convention. And we will also have the permanent representation, who is the ambassador who represents Malta and Strasbourg, since this convention is also part of our presidency. Then we will have a number of plenary discussions, some thematic workshops, and some practices and project workshops. I will explain a little bit what we aim by having these real slots in the program. Besides that, all throughout the convention, there would be a marketplace open. So I also encourage you, place where you put your work, you bring any leaflets or anything you would want to share with others during coffee break and lunchtime. There will not be a specific time, but there's coffee break and lunchtime for this marketplace where in a way you can share some of your work with others, or exhibit some of your work with others if you wish to. So let's look a little bit. So as you could see in the previous slides, besides the plenary discussions, which I will explain later, there are these thematic workshops. These are the most important parts of the program, which would feed into the final report of the convention. And the thematic workshops are based on 3 core themes: the youth work core, the youth work environment, and the youth work systems. Each theme will have 5 sub-themes. So let us say, when we're talking about the youth work core, I mean, we'll be talking about the ethics of youth work, the principles of youth work. I mean, the definitions of youth work. When we're talking about the youth work environment, the young people that benefit from youth work, the young people that lead youth work, the youth leaders, the professional youth workers, the recognition of youth work. And when we're talking about the youth work systems, we would be talking about who do we collaborate with at a European level, at a national level, how do we operate in the larger ecosystem. And so you as participants then would, so there are 3 sessions, and these 3 sessions are parallel. So you would choose one of the thematic areas and one of the sub-themes and go to one session. In the next session, you can change. You can go to the youth work environment and choose another and choose another sub-team. And in the other session, in the third session, you can also change your workshop and also your team and take up other sub-team. But the facilitators and the rapporteurs would be the same in each and every sub-team. So they will build, so whenever you join a workshop, you will continue building up on what the others would have already said, and further, in a way, polishing the recommendations that you would want to put at the end. And obviously at the end, then there would be a general rapporteur who would really present what your recommendations were, not in a way in very much detail, because there is no time, but give you a sneak peek, and then obviously you will receive a fully fledged report with your recommendations and how we can take this forward. Next. In the midst of this and horizontally, we took up the theme noise versus silence. And this noise versus silence will be dealt with during the plenary sessions. And the idea here is really to reflect a little bit on what is the noise. And when I'm talking about noise, I'm referring to what are we talking about all the time? What are we trying to promote all the time? Versus the silence. What are we leaving out? What are we afraid to talk about? Why? What would we want to add? What's that silence? And why am I silent on something? Is it to hurt, not to hurt someone? Is it to be a bit more diplomatic than usual? Sort of what? Or do we think that it will not happen or this can't happen? So the idea of challenging you on the silence is really going to be taken up in the plenaries. And the plenaries would start after you would have already participated in 2 thematic workshops. And why are we doing that? So that in a way, probably in the first 2 thematic workshops, you would have been talking about all the noises that we have been making, but have forgotten about what we can also speak about. And therefore, then when you join the last thematic workshop, you can, in a way, challenge yourself a little bit more and be bolder to talk more about the silences that you usually would not like to talk about. And obviously, there are a few questions. I will not go into them. All these questions are in the preparation booklet, and you will also be reminded with these questions by the facilitators. Besides that, then, I mean, throughout the program, there will be 2 sets of 1-hour workshops. And here, the idea is to share practices. So we have said that the aim of the convention 1 is really to be the activists, be the lobbyists, try and set the next 5 years. But also the idea is to network, to share practices, to learn a little bit as well. And therefore, there would be two sets of workshops. One set of workshops that's coming more from the national level or the local level. I mean, so here there are some ideas of workshops which you can choose from. I didn't put them all. You will all receive them, but like building national structures for youth work, or the voices of young people in Ukraine, or navigating the challenges and maintaining ethical standards, or how to present the youth sector to gain more visibility and stand out. I mean, so here the idea is some inspiring practices which are linked to the themes that you would have already discussed. You know, so So here then is all these things. You can see some practices that people have already been working on throughout these years. And besides that, as well, there would be another 15 one-hour workshops where you can also choose one. And these are more projects and initiatives on youth work that are happening at European level and are also, in a way, funded by Erasmus Plus, and there are a number of partners involved in them, where you can also get informed, choose one to get more informed about it, and maybe think of joining or coming up with a new initiative for the next 5 years. And here we have kind of how can AI help with inclusive digital communications, emerging futures of youth work, the European Youth Information Quality Label, the youth participation strategy that we have, and what the European Alliance of National Youth Work Associations, what has this been doing in these past 5 years? I mean, one interesting thing to mention over here is that, for example, the European Alliance of National Youth Worker Association has been one of the outcomes of the last convention. So this is an idea. I mean, let me take my last one, which I think is the last, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, exactly. So what would we be doing in the next? We want to attract you. We want you to attract you to take action. We want you to understand what the noise has been in these last years. And we also want you to steer the silence. So keep these words in mind and let us hope that we will all enjoy the 2 days and a half that we will have together and bring up a new momentum and a new impetus for the next coming 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Yeah, that's clapping. Thank you, and thank you for actually capturing the almost entirety of 40 pages of the preparation booklet, which you will have a chance to read. So if you didn't catch everything, if you have maybe some dilemmas, that will all become clear. But this was really a fantastic kind of intro that you will not be able to have, for example, in Malta. Yeah, I mean, of course, there will be the opening and so on, but this really just gives the preview of what is going to happen. So thanks again, Miriam. What we actually wanted to do here today is not to go deeper into the topics, because this is what our time in Malta together will be about, as Miriam introduced, but really give you a chance to process it a little bit and try to link it to your national realities, because this is the idea of the convention anyway, that all of you come with, well, bringing yourselves and your direct practice with young people or whatever connection to youth work you have, but also how does that fit in your context. So we will soon send you in the smaller groups. Domagoj has prepared them already, and I will paste the questions in the chat. Here we go. And the idea is to spend 15 minutes to share how does these topics that you've heard, mainly the 3 main topics, so the youth work core, youth work environment, youth work systems, but also the other things that Miriam introduced, resonate with you and your national context, and how do they link to your motivation, yeah, and the reasons why you are participating in the convention itself. There's no need for reporting. We will open the mic afterwards if you would like to share, or maybe you have a question, but in general, just spend the 15 minutes focusing on yourselves in the group and starting to get to know each other, because this is also one of the expectations that we saw on the cloud, to meet new people and to exchange. So Domagoj, whenever you're ready, we also ask you to copy these questions and enjoy your conversations. Good. Welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed your first exchanges. Apologies if it was not entirely clear what you should discuss, and hopefully the broadcasting message helped. But because we will soon have another group just make sure that you copy the questions from the chat so you know what is the topic of the conversation. But before we move on, we thought maybe it would be nice if some of you would like to take the mic and share a bit from your or this resonance of the topics in your context, or maybe some first motivations and so on. So if someone would like to share with us and break the ice also here online before Malta, that would be really nice. Right, so would anyone like to share?
I can start with one.
Thank you.
Well, actually, we were practically.
Can you just try to speak up a bit? I think.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We were 5 people was myself and John. We exchanged a couple of things, from my side. But I said is that in the case of Portugal, we are developing the national youth work strategy with the system of Council of Europe. And some friends here who are here in the room actually. And we have a couple of things in common, this need and this will to keep networking to see exactly what is reality in other contexts, the realities in what concerns the boundaries of network, the definitions of network, the principles of network, the practices of youth work, to see exactly what we have in common and what we have as differences, but we coincide in the need to make sure that youth work as a whole and youth workers are recognized. Because then there may be some differences on what the role of youth workers could be or did not be, but exactly to become.
Thank you very much. It was not so easy to hear, but if I capture this well, you are in Portugal developing the national youth or youth strategy or youth work strategy. Youth work strategy, and it was a good space, and with the support of the Council of Europe, it was a good moment to see also what are some of the similarities across the different contexts, but also differences, and how to make youth work more prominent. Was that more or less how we managed? Super. And exactly, and I think it's great that you already started by exploring this, although you yourself are also not a novice in this field, but kind of exploring these conversations that will just take even more space in Malta. Thank you for breaking the ice as well. Anyone else would like to share a bit about their own motivations and connections with the topics? Please, one more voice.
I'm happy to jump in here. So
thank you. Thank you.
My name is Helena Soltis. I'm from Promo Cymru, which is based in Wales in the UK. For me, this is the first sort of strategic thinking on a European level that I've done within my role. I've been a content and communications officer within Promo Cymru for 4 years now, and whilst my organization does some of the strategic thinking, it's not something that I do very often. So I'm really looking forward to learn from other countries, other youth workers, absorb what's going on a European level, and hopefully then develop it within my role. As a content and communications officer, I do work online predominantly with young people. So whether that's on social media, project delivery, that kind of thing. And so it'll be nice to bring that expertise, and especially within a lot of people are interested in virtual reality, AI, that kind of thing at the moment. That's sort of the thinking that I've been doing. I'm also probably, as you can tell, like a young person. I've just turning 27 soon. Actually, a few days before the convention, so we can all party to celebrate my birthday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing sort of a different perspective, a young person's perspective within youth work.
Beautiful, thanks a lot. And we'll take you up on that party. So in this, hundreds of people just come and find us and we'll cheer for your birthday. Thanks a lot. Thank you for contributing. Patrick also has his hand up.
Good morning. Thank you. Patrick Work here, the current president of ERICA. I'm looking forward to meeting you all, but maybe some comments that have come to mind. I was impressed by Miriam's contribution, by everybody's contribution this morning. But Miriam, I think, reminded us of how far we have come in the youth sector. 25 years ago at a European level, the phrase youth work was not used and very little understood. So I think this is a moment to celebrate. I think that in some way, and as Marion quite rightly said, to bring it on to the next step, to accelerate the growth of understanding and appreciation for the huge transformational contribution that youth work makes to the lives of young people and to their communities. So in terms of opportunity, I think, yes, of course, we need to make sure that our meeting does impact hugely on the development of the new European Youth Strategy. Notwithstanding the principle of subsidiarity, I do hope then that would impact very much on youth policy and youth work policy at national levels and at regional levels. In terms of maybe a slight threat, I do think that there's work to be done, and I'm sure we will do this in Malta, where we will continue to make sure that we ourselves have a common understanding of so many of the phrases we use, like youth work itself. What do we mean by that? I still think that in many cases we're using the same words, but not really understanding the same realities. So there's work to be done in that. Also around youth participation, what exactly that means and how that looks in our organizations, in our regions, in our countries. So reaching that common understanding is hugely important, because if we don't reach that common understanding, we're unlikely to be able to convince the uninitiated, if you like, the people who are outside of youth work, who are often decision makers who influence what happens in youth work. We need to find a language that really does resonate with the uninitiated. I think that's hugely important. And really, for me, I think we need to be moving closer and closer to having a parity of esteem with the formal education system. I think that's where we need to be ambitious. That's where we need to be very clearly on the same page as a community of practice. So thank you for the opportunity to just share those few words, and I look forward to seeing you all and working with you all in Malta.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing. Clearly, you came prepared, and I think these thoughts are really important, and they do resonate with a few of the topics that were raised. So that's really cool. Thanks a lot, Patrick. Anyone else before we move on? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you for breaking the ice, as I said, and I don't mean this in any in a patronizing way, but we do hope that you will take the space in Malta as well, where you see fit and where it kind of resonates with you as well, because this would really be a great opportunity to voice your thoughts, but also, of course, to hear from the others. Good. So now I actually have the pleasure to introduce the famous booklet that Laszlo mentioned, that Miriam mentioned, that our colleague Giselle Evrar helped to compile in a way. And I really find it, and I didn't write it, so I'm not involved. So I think I'm placed to say that it's really an excellent resource. It's not too long, and it's really helpful. If you're the first timer, or even if it's your fourth convention, to prepare both for the convention as such, as a concept, but also for the particular edition that we will have this year. So the first thing that I will do, in fact, is that I will paste in your chat, in our chat, the 3 links, which are basically your main apparently they are too big, so I'll paste them one by one because they will be your main documents for the moment. One is the program. So from Miriam, you already heard a bit about the program, which is what is important for this moment. But if you want to see it more detailed, then you have it there as well. Then you also have the practical information booklet. To basically, let me just see. Yeah, exactly. So with practical information and so on, this is the shorter, but just how to find the space and so on. And finally, you have the booklet for the preparation, which I will share now. So you can open these links maybe, and I will just take a few moments because I know you can read it yourself, but this is just maybe to motivate you a little bit when you see how nice it is and what it contains. Very good. So here we go. And I kept the sound on purpose because I quite like this moment, so you can hear it as well. So just quickly on the contents is basically to know that there are three main segments, and one is to how to prepare. And the preparation means that what are the conventions. So really many parts that you managed to join us today heard from Miriam already, but now it's in more details, and also that you can then read it in your peace and quiet when you have time. So what are the conventions? What are the processes that surround the conventions? And also what are the realities and challenges? And for example, Patrick was now talking a little bit about what are some of the challenges, but there are more. So basically, what are the contexts that we are currently living to have a bit of a common understanding before we all join together. And then it's diving into the 4th European Youth Work Convention. So what is the context? What does it mean, this Youth Work Accelerate? The formats, the program, and the aims and the outcomes. Yeah, so somehow this will help you thematically also to prepare. And then what I find quite an important aspect that we also did for some of the previous convention is what does it mean to be a delegate at the convention? Yeah, I mean, it could be a bit of a pressure because from the whole country or the, let's say, youth work sector and surrounding sectors, there is only 4, 5, maybe 7, 8 people coming. And it does bring a little bit of the expectation of your participation. So how to manage that? Yeah, so to take the most out of it, to take most out back to your environment, but also not to overburden yourself, let's say, to manage this pressure somehow, and to understand also what happens at the convention. Then the second segment is getting ready for the thematic workshops. Again, you heard from Miriam which they are, but also to help you choose, because you will be able to choose 3 across the 3 different themes. So how to choose and what will be maybe the most relevant for you. So this gives you already a bit of a head start, and then you will be able to choose yourself through the app. And finally, if you look for more resources, tools, reading policy documents, and if you want to read more about the European Youth Work Agenda, which will be particularly close to us in Youth Work Talks, because this is what we are trying to advance further, then you can find them there. So this is your table of contents, and this is how it goes. Maybe I show you a little bit more. That is also quite visually nice, and it really separates the conversation. So if you want to learn more about the conventions, to learn more about the outcomes of the previous convention, because that will also help you to set the base for taking this further and accelerating the work. To see other key processes, namely the European Youth Work Strategy and the Youth Sector Strategy of the Council of Europe. You can also read these documents if you haven't already. Then here, as we promised, here are some realities and challenges to take into consideration, which many of you, if not all, already know, but somehow that we all speak the same language in that sense. Okay, maybe I still mute it, but you heard that satisfying sound anyway. So what is this convention in particular, and what are the main topics and aims and the outcomes? And then the part of what to expect with some tips, how to start the conversations, as we saw, how to actually speak up, how to choose your priorities, etc., etc., and what happens after the convention. So you already know, because what is really special about this convention, but also the previous, is that they are the starting point on some big strategic processes that then evolve over time. So also how to be ready to be the multipliers and the messengers of that in your realities. And then you have a little bit of a cheat sheet with in a nutshell. And then, as promised, you have the thematic workshops, how to get ready for them. And you see the 3 of them, and each thematic workshop has the definitions and explanations of what they are. And of course, they're not set in stone and they will be open for conversation during the workshops themselves. Then you have the overview of each of the specific workshops under each theme, guiding questions and additional resources. And this is basically how it looks like. Yeah. So this particular part, we really encourage you to read. So when you choose your 3 workshops that you will attend, you choose wisely and what is the most relevant for you and your context. And that's it. So I will not go more in detail in there. And then the additional information if you would like. And of course, probably there is much more, but this will be exchanged when we meet in Malta. So you have it, use it. Maybe some of you don't need it at all. That's also great. But if you find something useful there, we really encourage you to read it. It's quite helpful. Maybe any questions at this point about the booklet maybe, or some of the preparations in that sense. You can unmute or you can put it in chat if you have any questions. We have a question. So if you need to register in advance, yes, you would need to register in advance. I can tell you also from the perspective of being one of the facilitators in the convention itself, it helps to know which people will come. And in the due course, I'm looking at Marvik, but I think in the next days, you will get a link to the app where you will be able to register. Marvik is supporting with the thumbs up. And Zoom is telling me that it sounds like I have switched to another language. All right. I didn't notice that. Good. And Marvik is also writing in chat. Good. And if you will be having any more, just please keep them coming in the chat or when you come from the groups. Because what we wanted to actually use the time now is to send you in another round of small groups. Now that we had the first exchange, now we can go deeper. And to take the first step of thinking of how will you prepare to get the most out of the convention. I'm sure all of you have participated in big events, and this is, I think, as big as it gets in the international youth work sector. There is so many people to meet with, there are so many conversations to have. So how do you plan a little bit this time together? Yeah. Yes, so the links for sorry, I'll go back to the groups. The links are also in the chat. And you received the message from the Maltese team with all the links, but I think Marvik will also write it in the chat. Okay, so small groups, you will have around 15-20 minutes to exchange a little bit on the preparations. I'm pasting it in the chat, and the questions are how to act and interact with others, so other countries, other sectors, other contexts, and so on. What do you hope to gain? And how do you make the attendance and the convention impactful for you and for your field, yeah, or for the place where you work? So we will deal with the PDFs. We promise. Also, when you come back, we will see how we do that. But please don't. Some people need to leave, but please don't forget to copy the questions, yeah? And we also know that in these kind of webinar settings, it's easier to just attend and receive the information, but we thought it's quite nice actually to have a chance to exchange with others. So all those of you who can stay and really exchange with others, that would be lovely, yeah? So once again, I'll copy the questions here so they don't get lost, and please copy them before you leave. So it's really about thinking together with other people. How can you use the time at the convention to gain what you're hoping to gain and to make it impactful for you and the others? And with that said, Domago will now send you into new groups for 20 minutes, and then we will see you back to share and to close.
Yes, good luck. Yes.
Very good. 74, still going strong. Welcome back. How were the conversations? Would anyone like to join? I will not insist this time, but if someone would like to share with us, that would be really, really nice. Well, Nicola?
Hello. We had a very fruitful discussion. It was very interesting breakout room. We had 3 Bulgarians inside one, so it was kind of nice. We spoke about, we present ourselves and also spoke about topics that are close to us, especially about, with the colleagues from Poland, we spoke about legislature and recognition of youth centers, ethical standards about youth work, and policy standards about youth work on national and international levels. We also discuss about the future changes in the strategy, European Youth Strategy, and how this will impact also the programs. Especially, we hope that we strongly agree on the idea that the budgets for Solidarity Corp and Erasmus Plus doesn't have to be changed or cut short because of the insecurity on different levels. So this is topics that are very close to us, and we all agree upon them. It was a fruitful talk, and we will be waiting to meet in next month. So yeah, in brief, this was it.
Thanks, Nicola. It looks like you completed the convention itself. It's already there, topics for the pathways. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Nick, our spy among the
Yeah, I was honest about it. Yeah, it was an interesting discussion. I missed a little bit at the end because I got distracted. So maybe something Ramon can add. But the question of this is about young people, but where are the voices of the young people for the convention? And one of the suggestions, I think it's Bea from Portugal, was suggesting potentially meeting up with young people themselves before she comes to the convention to talk about it. As a way of bringing voices of young people directly into the convention. So this was a point that we found was quite important, recognizing that the convention is really more about policymakers than young people themselves, but we still need the voices of young people in there.
Beautiful, thanks. It looks like a perfect outcome of the preparation webinar, isn't it? There's still weeks to come and things that can be done on the local and national level before we meet internationally. Miriam, were you? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would like to answer this because I know that this would come up on the convention. I'm telling people to be activists, and I will also be an activist myself in this convention as well, as I have always been. This is a convention for the community of practice. I mean, mostly that would be youth workers and people working with young people and young people themselves who are leading youth work. So when we have sent the invitation, we have sent an invitation to include also someone who is a young person leading youth work or someone from the National Youth Council. Not all the countries have done that. I mean, but so it is up to you to bring the young people's voice, but surely this is a convention for mainly the youth workers and the youth leaders. Some of them are young themselves. I mean, and this is one of the silences we have to address, I think. And youth work is for young people, but I mean, Patrick was also talking, we have to work also for our professionality. I mean, so it's not a question, it's a question of also having young people around, and we will have young people around, but it's also of talking about our practice. So this is not a youth participation, a convention for youth participation. It is a convention on youth work. So let us try and think about that as well if we want to move forward, or else we will always continue talking about the noise rather than the silences. Where are we placed as us in the community of workers? Where are we going to place ourselves as workers now? Now, whether the voice of the young people can be brought to us, we do have some young people. We have a plenary discussion where we're going to hear what young people are benefiting and what young people are doing through youth work. But no, there won't be as many young people as there would be youth workers. As much as there won't be as many researchers as there are youth workers, and there won't be as many policymakers as there are youth workers. This is the convention for the youth workers. So, and this is one of the silences that we have to start stirring up. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. At the same time, also Arpad was writing in the chat that they are planning to meet with the young people. Of course, carrying the voices, because this is also a systemic issue, isn't it? We carry different voices with us, and voices of young people are one of the important ones to bring in. Yeah. So completing indeed what Miriam said with that. Very good. Thank you very much. So a few practical informations, and then we are at the end actually of our webinar. One is that I'm sure you have encountered with this platform on this website before. It's the page of the, among other pages on the Youth Partnership website, dedicated to the convention. So there you will always have the updated program, updated information, but also the booklet. So this actually answers the question of the PDFs. The reason why we could not send you the downloadable materials today was that they are still being ironed out, the few details, but this week we should have at least the booklet as the final version, which you can download and then nicely read on your computers or wherever you would want to. So hopefully that resolves it. Apparently a link doesn't work. See, for me it does, but maybe one of my colleagues can resend.
It works, but we can resend it now as well. Yeah.
Okay, super. So again, whenever in doubt, go to this webpage and you will get all the updated information. Also, at some point, just to repeat that, maybe you missed it, but also maybe some people join later. Soon we will launch the, Laszlo, anything about the?
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but maybe just to add then regarding the website, that as you see it now, it's still not fully developed. So there will be a lot of developments in the upcoming days or this week later on. Really, it will be a lot more content added. It will be also, so you will see it soon. So don't take it as in the current state, but keep the link, because the link will be the same, of course. And we will keep you informed, of course, and all the diagrams, the developments there. Thank you.
And also it will be an important place for the follow-up, yeah? So from these days, but also from the past weeks and now, during the convention and after, this will be really the hub for the resources and materials. So there will be the app. So the app is your place more for orientation. There will be some things shared there, but it's not a replacement of the website. It's more for you to choose websites, maybe connect to other people, find in which room you are and so on. And that will be sent to you a few weeks prior to the convention, so you can get familiar with it if you haven't already. It's a line-upper for those of you who have used it already. For those who haven't, it's fine. It's an easy app to use. So that will facilitate your life when it comes to convention itself. Then there is also a hashtag that will soon be used more and more, but also for you to have it as this premiere in this preparation webinar, where you can already maybe start posting. Let's say you meet young people in the preparation for the convention. If you like to post something, there is the hashtag already to be used. That's that. Yes, finally, you heard from Elke at the start that this is the Youth Work Talks as part of the snack, which is the outcome of the previous convention. So you have the links if you want to follow the developments that will happen in the future as well, because the snack will also closely work on the follow-up of the convention as well. So you can hear about the offers and future webinars. And I think with that, I think I did all the practicalities. I'm looking around. There is no alarm from the team. Very good. And then for the last word, I give you back to Miriam to close the webinar and open our path towards physically meeting in Malta.
So thank you, Snezana. Thank all of you for attending, for your energy, your ideas, and your commitment. What I really wish to share with you, let us not try and be guests at the decision-making table. I mean, we are the architects of it, and this is what we will do in this convention. But also, let us not get lost in words. Let us be practical. Let us not just theorize, but let us really come up with practical solutions and not dwell on whether it should be that word or the other words, but think really of the hard core of the content that we would like to put forward in our recommendations for the coming up years. And please let us remember, if we're not at the table, we're probably on the menu. So let us make sure youth work sets the agenda, not just becomes an afterthought, as we always say. Let's use this momentum. It's very rare to get 500 people to get together. So let's try and use it rather than stay nagging and stay gossiping or saying that this is not the right thing or this is the wrong thing. Let's be positive and move forward. We have moved a lot and we can even accelerate more and move youth work forward. So thank you, and I'm really looking forward to see you all. I mean, it's really a big deal for us to organize this. So, and a lot of work. So it would be really nice to celebrate in a month's time all the work and all your energy. Thank you.
Thank you, and we close this part, and we see you in Malta.